This conference will now be recorded.
Hi friends, good morning. In this Databricks Master Program, so in today's session we are going to talk about Databricks Variables, Widget Types, Databricks Notebook Parameters. So Databricks Variables means suppose whatever input you are passing to Databricks Notebooks, how to assign these inputs to the variables. Variables means example, let's say I want to wish Rama, maybe I want to say good morning Rama, how are you Rama? I want to say Rama multiple times. So instead of hard coding Rama multiple times in a print statement, what you can do is you can say simply name equal to Rama, and this particular variable you can refer in the print statements. I will show you example if you're not able to understand from these particular examples, but I will show you practically where to use variables, what is the use of these variables, okay, importance of the variables we'll discuss. Then widget types. Widget type means how to pass the inputs to your Databricks notebooks. By creating the widgets, we are going to pass the inputs to your Databricks notebooks. This is very important with respect to the real-time project, whatever you do, because mostly you are going to create these widgets for all the notebooks. Most of the notebooks require a input, right? So you are going to create these widgets. So we are going to discuss these widgets in Python and Scala. Next, Databricks notebook parameters. So Databricks notebook parameters means these things only, but here we are going to talk about some settings. Settings means whenever I pass a new value, new input to my notebook, I want to run my notebook. Okay, so those settings, how to tune notebook parameter settings, how to tune, we are going to discuss. Fine. In today's session, we are going to see what is widget and types and how to create widgets to pass dynamic values to Python notebook. So how to create these widgets in Python notebook, we will see. Then we are going to see once you create widgets and if you are passing this particular value to the widgets, how to read this particular value and assign to a variable. Okay, let's say in real-time use case, what we do, where we will have a full load and a incremental load. Mostly we will have these two loads, right? And ad hoc load, all those things, very rarely people will implement, right? So full load and incremental load we will have. So in this full load and incremental load, for your notebook, you have implemented a code, generic code. This is basically generic code which can handle full load and which can handle the incremental load. I hope everybody know what is full load and incremental load. If you don't know what is full load and incremental load, let me give you an example. Full load means you have 100 records in a table. If you load 100 records to the target, that is called a full load. Okay. So incremental load means what happens now, you have 100 records. You already copied 100 records yesterday. So today 10 more records added to the table. So now you have total 110 records. If you are copying total 110 records, it will become again a full load. So but this time what I want to do, I have already 100 records copied. Why I need to copy those 100 records again? So I'm going to identify the records which are updated, which are new. So how many records which are new and updated? Only 10 records. So I'll just take those 10 records and copy to the destination. That is nothing but incremental copy, incremental load. So in mostly in real-time examples, in real-time use cases, we will have these two types of load, right? So one of the parameter that you are going to pass to notebook is load type. Okay. Next parameter, commonly used parameters I will give you. Okay. You are going to process the data, but we won't process data for this entire year, for this entire month, right? So we will process data per day. Okay, every day we will process the data, meaning sometimes what happened, your process got failed. Okay, so yesterday did not run. What you need to do, you need to process yesterday data as well. So how you will understand, how notebook knows what data to execute, what data to process is, we are going to process something called process date. Okay, process date, you are going to process, you are going to pass the, for which date you want to process, that process date you are going to process, you are going to pass, and load type you are going to pass. Okay, you got two commonly used widgets, right? So third commonly used widget is you are going to pass some configuration file path. What is that configuration file path? So where we will have each table source, each table source path, each table maybe file or table it can be. Okay, if it is a file, so file system path. If it is a table, what is the table, in which schema this table is available, in which database this table is available, that information. Okay, so we are going to have a configuration file which is going to have all this information. Okay, or else you can say metadata table information. So we need to have from which place, from which path I need to read the file, and once I process my data, where I need to load this particular file. So I need a source path and output path, right? So these source paths and output paths, we may keep it in some configuration files, or we may keep it in a metadata table. Okay, we will create a one table. In that table we can maintain. So if you are maintaining in a metadata table, that table information will pass as a input to your parameter, input to your notebook. Or if you are maintaining a configuration file, then this configuration file path you are going to pass as a input to your Databricks notebook. Okay, you understood, right? Commonly used widgets. Okay, these are the commonly used widgets you will see. Okay, next, how to remove widget from Python notebook. Let's say when you are developing, you realized, okay, this is by mistake I created this widget. So if you are not removing, no, so what happens at the top of the notebook, it will show, okay, these are the parameters which are required for this notebook to execute. So if you are creating 10 widgets, so it will be like clumsy, right? So I don't want unnecessary widgets. I want to remove unnecessary widgets. So if you want to remove all the widgets at a time, you can remove it. If you want to remove one by one widget, you can able to remove it. We will discuss. Then we will talk about how to create a widget to pass dynamic values to scalar notebook. See, so Python notebook we are going to discuss. Then we will talk about scalar notebook. Then we are going to see how to read dynamic parameter values in scalar notebook, how to remove widgets from scalar notebook. See, I will not confuse you, do not worry. So if the entire code is going to be changed, if the entire code is going to be changed, I won't include Scala part. I will include only Python part. But wherever it is same, so you will have idea. Okay, if somebody asks, tell, yeah, I have little bit idea, you can able to confidently tell, right? So that's why wherever most of the stuff is similar between Python and Scala, I am trying to include that. Okay. Next, how to remove widget from Scala notebook we are going to discuss. Same, whatever we done in the Python, creating, reading and removing, whatever we done in Python, same things I will do it in a Scala. Then we will see how to run notebook whenever we change dynamic parameter values. So as I mentioned, right? So maybe file path I have changed. I want to run a notebook automatically. We have some settings that you need to tune. Okay, those are called a widgets panel settings. Okay, so what, there are three options we have. One of the option is whenever parameter value is updated, don't do anything in the notebook. That is first option. Second option is whenever dynamic parameter value is updated, please execute the cells or commands which are selected currently. Okay, suppose my cursor is at third command or third cell, so that particular command will be executed at that time. The third option is whenever parameter value is updated, run entire notebook. Run entire notebook. These are the options we have. So don't worry, we will discuss in detail. Now we'll see what is widget and type. See, input widgets allows you to add parameters to your notebooks and dashboards. The widget API consists of calls to create various types of input widgets. You can able to remove them and you can get bound values. Okay, so actually you can get the values, you can able to remove these widgets, you can able to create these widgets. And widgets are best for two cases. You see, building a notebook or dashboard that is re-executed with the different parameters. Let's say you are just analyzing some data, maybe you will just look at different parameters, you will pass and you will check. Okay, so let's say you want to say for country wise, for India how many customers we have, for US how many customers we have. You want to check country details, like country names, you will pass one by one. So in the notebook you have a command which is going to read this country name dynamically and it will filter out records. Okay, select star from customer table, where country equal to India. So first you passed India, next country equal to US, country equal to UK. So based on the input you are passing, that query will keep on executing with the different values. Quickly exploring results of a single query with a different parameter. Exactly same. Okay. Here what you are doing is with the different parameters. With the different parameters means you can say different parameters is different, and with a single query with a different parameters is different. Okay, example whatever I have given, that is for the second thing. Okay, with the different parameters re-executed means basically you pass, you one time you are passing country, one time maybe you are passing organization. Based on organization you want to filter out, sometimes you want to filter out based on country. Okay, so maybe different parameters you can pass, or sometimes you in the same query different parameter values you can able to pass and you can execute it. Okay, so in many cases, so apart from this whatever use cases I have given, right? So if you want to process your data for particular day, you are going to pass that particular day. If you want to load full load, then you are going to say load type is full. So if you want to load as a incremental, you are going to say load type is incremental. So configuration file paths if you want to give, those are the best examples compared to these things. Okay, next there are four types.
Malaya, sorry to stop you. If you at least can showcase in notebook once that what is widget and what is parameter, then at least all these lines will make some sense. Otherwise, it's like going on top of the head.
See, I'll just show you some image. Okay,
Okay.
so that because it will take more time for me to create again.
Okay.
I need to see here. You can see. So when you say dbutils, yesterday we talked about dbutils, right? See, dbutils dot with the text. So text means X is a like it's a parameter. One is the argument, meaning one is the value which you are assigning to X. This is the default value. But if you want to overwrite with 1 to 2, something you can able to do. Now you see, this is the X. Okay. So again, you are creating one more widget called Y. So Y is also here. So this is the default values which you are given 1, 1. Suppose when you are scheduling the notebook, you want to pass X value is 10, Y value is 30, something like that, you can able to pass. These are the widgets. To remove all the widgets, this is the command dbutils.widgets.remove all. If you want to read this X value, which is assigned from somewhere else or which is a default value, what you need to do for reading? So dbutils.widgets.get.
To get the value.
Yes, get the value.
Okay. So this is basically similar to like just a like a function or something in any C or any normal language where we put two arguments and get something, is it?
Yeah, so those things are, yes, you can compare, but these widgets concept we don't have in any language. So these are specially designed in Databricks only. But with my experience, I never see these widgets. Okay, in Databricks only I am seeing these widgets. Yeah, but you can say X and 1. So this is, yeah, you can say when you are reading X, the value of 1, you can compare with any other examples that you came across.
No, so but what is the difference between saying a val X equal to 1? What's the difference?
Where you are saying val 1?
No, I'm just saying earlier you were showing, right, in Scala, just a parameter, that is also a variable, like X or A, anything, whatever you call it.
Wait, because that's what you will confuse. I will not able to give you all the examples.
Okay, fine.
See here, what you are doing. Yeah, I will tell you. dbutils.widgets.get of Y. What it will give? Can you tell me?
If you are getting a value of 1.
What you are doing with that one, you are not catching. You are not assigning to any variable, isn't it? So when you are assigning to a variable, if it is a scalar, you need to use val or var. Right. But if it is a Python, you can directly use the variable. So all those things, again, see, I need to. So some people will confuse now if I explain twice. That's why just to hold on. You got some idea, right?
Okay.
Everybody got some idea, friends. Okay. Otherwise, let me give you that example.
Malaya, can we assume this as a variable for now?
Variable, where is variable? This is parameter. This is the argument. Okay. So variable
But
means
I mean,
once you assign this parameter value, this argument to this particular variable, that is called a variable. I will tell you the variable.
So this is looks like a static, right? You are assigning a value 1 to a parameter x. It will be always constant.
Which one constant you can pass dynamically? Okay, so when you are calling this notebook, so first time when you are calling, you can pass x value is 1. Next time when you are calling x value, you can pass 2. So whenever you are calling, you can pass the new values.
Okay. We can
Example,
change
let's
the
say last processed value I need to understand the incremental data, isn't it? So till what record I copied already. For that, you may pass the last processed value. So last processed value is going to change whenever you call the notebook, right? So every time you are going to pass a new value to it. It will not be similar. Okay.
Okay. So in this case, I can get that timestamp of the processed date and check the records, right?
Timestamp.
Yeah. For example, I can set the date, okay, and I can identify the records which got processed during that time, and based on that date, I can bring the new set of records which were not processed.
Yeah, so that is, yes, you can do that. So once you have a date, you can able to filter out. Yesterday somebody pinged in the group, right? With that DB utils list of files, you create a data frame, then you filter out CSV files. In the same way, so once we have a data, you can able to apply filter. Okay, so once you filter out, you will get the records which are added after that particular timestamp. So those things we will see. Okay. Clear, friends? Any other questions?
yeah, tell me one thing, Malaya, is that let's say I'm just considering like maybe variable was a bad example to tell, but let's say if I'm having a path of a particular place where I want to put the log file for every day process, so will that be a candidate to be a widget?
So you have what we have? You have a file with.
Let's say I have a job which runs on a daily basis. I want to capture that particular log and to want to place it to a particular path, and that path I am using and taking as a widget in that job. Is it a proper scenario or not?
Okay, I will tell you. So when to use is if the log path is not going to change every time, it is not recommended to use widget. Okay, you can just hard code it. Sorry. It is you can hard code it, but still it is not recommended to hard code in your notebook, because maybe for now you are thinking that okay, so this is fixed, so I am not going to change my log path. But later if you realized you want to change the log path, so that is not possible if you hard code it. That's why still you can use the widget, but for that particular requirement, if the log path is not going to change, widget is not required. But still widget is recommended, because in the future, now you are not changing, but in the future if you want to change, again you need to come back to your notebook and you need to make the changes in the code. So after 1 year you will forget what you have done, right? So again you need to analyze the code and do all those things. Instead of that, if you create the widget, if somebody wants to change the path or something, so that is up to them. So they have all those options. They can able to give the paths, whatever paths they want.
Okay.
Malaya, the other scenario is I can set this date as a variable, and every day does it change, right? It changes the sys date based on that day, and I can validate those records to identify the current.
All those things you can do. All those things
so
you can do.
Widget will help, right, to identify the date dynamically, changing the dates dynamically.
Widget, how widget will help? No, I did not able to understand your question.
Okay.
I think you totally in a different perspective. What is widget? See, widget is simply a like a kind of a widget.
Give us a production environment scenario for widget.
I think it's a configuration file where you have a variable with a predefined value, and whenever you need those values in the program, you can always call that variable and have its corresponding value called there instead of hard coding it in the script.
Correct.
No, in that case, I would keep it in the table. Why would I go into widget also, right? That would give me a better handle.
Table you can keep it when you only have to work with SQL, but you are now working with Python as well. Then how will you keep it in the table?
No. Anyway, yeah, maybe what you are saying is correct, maybe. But any specific example, Malaya, you can give out of production environment that you have used a widget for?
Wait, friends. Then really, I need to give the example. Otherwise, full confusion. Okay, fine. I'll tell you. See.
Mala, is my understanding correct, or is it something different?
No, I did not hear. So fine. See now, because everybody is in a different perspective. I don't want that. See, first you try to understand now. So I have a metadata table. Okay, I have a metadata table. Okay, so what this metadata table? Let's say. See, don't say again why you are scheduling there and here. Just to giving example, because most of the jobs scheduled from the Azure Data Factory. So how Azure Data Factory will schedule and how Azure Data Factory will pass these widgets. Please try to understand. So then you will come to know the idea. Just to give the idea, I'm giving this example that we have implemented in real time. Okay. See, now we have a metadata table. Okay. This metadata table is having a table name. Okay. Let's say requirement is very simple requirement. The requirement is they have some CSV files and they don't have a load date in the CSV files. What these people are doing? These people are reading CSV files, then adding one extra column called load date. This load date they are adding as a current date time. Current timestamp they are adding. Current timestamp they are adding. So let's say in CSV file, if you have 3 columns, now load date or updated date, this you can just consider as a one extra column we are adding. Now it will be total 4 columns. With these 4 columns, I am writing as a parquet. I am writing as a parquet. This is what I wanted to do for all the files which I have in my project. Okay, as per the client request, I have, let's say, 100 files. Okay, I have 100 files. So what I wanted to do, these are all 100 files. I want to convert from CSV to the parquet. Okay, now what I am going to do, all these 100 files means I want to pass the exact file. So in data lake storage, how we will store is, let's say you have global, your client is from USA, and basically you have under this, you will have a, if it is a regional data. Okay, in USA, global USA, in USA we have a, let's first say customer table we have. Okay. Next one I have transactions file. Okay, see in these folders, in these respective folders, I will have actual data. Okay. Next I have here, what else you can say, maybe transactions,
Maybe order, stock, anything.
Product.
this is sales, anything. Yeah, orders. Okay, some extra things. Okay, just imagine you have a lot of things, lot of tables. Okay, so because session is recording, I cannot give the exact table names. Okay, fine. So cut to transaction, sales and orders, right? So these particular tables, what I wanted to do in this custom table again, I have a 2020 December 01st. Okay, in this again I will have a 2020-02. In this again I will have a 22-03. Likewise for all these things also we will have these dates, isn't it? Now you understood, right? So okay, 1 second.
I think you have to keep equal to or something for partitions.
So yes, so data is there in this particular format. I'm loading the data.
Got it.
0. Okay, so in this format I'm loading the data. This is, I'm just explaining how I have my data in my data lake storage. Okay, I hope you are in a position to understand. So in custom table we have a data from 12 to 03. In transactions we have a data from 12 to 03. Sales we have a data from 12 to 03. Yeah, just consider like that. Okay, here also orders also we have 12 to 03. Now when you write a code, in Databricks notebook, what I'll do, input path. Input path is actually same for global USA. Okay, global USA is same for all the tables, isn't it? Now I need to pass two things. Okay, what I need to do, I need to pass two things. One is I need to pass the table name as a widget, for which date, okay, process date I need to pass as a widget. Let's say I want to process my data for transaction. Okay, let's say process date, I want to process data for 2020-12-02. Okay, now what you need to do once you receive all these things, this is hard code in my notebook itself, but this is a table which is going to keep changing. So what I need to do, I need to pass it. Process date, so it may vary. So what I need to do, I need to pass it. So where I keep all these things, maybe process date, I may keep it in my metadata. My table name also I will keep it in a metadata. From metadata, I will just keep like iterating all these table names and the process date. This process date will be resetted every day in this metadata table once all the table process completed. If this table is processed successfully for today date, so next this particular row will be set it as a null. So next day before we start execution, metadata table, this current date will be generated and loaded as a process date. Okay, now that's how we'll have a process date and table name in metadata. Once we have these three, can I form the final path or not? Can I form the final path or not? Yes, I just have to add these three variables. If I concatenate, I will get global/USA/transaction. Maybe you can say year or year. So even if they are not sending properly slashes, you can take care when you are concatenating, isn't it? So you can able to take care those slashes when you are concatenating in your notebook.
Right. So when this date gonna be reset, basically that is a separate job, or widget automatically does that?
Not widget. We see widget job is just to take this transaction table names and the dates. Don't confuse. Okay. See, widget is nothing, man. Just widget is to take these particular values. Widget is nowhere related with resetting, changing something. It will just, if you give something, it will take that and it will give to the notebook.
Got it.
It's intermediate. If you tell something, it will take it and it will give to the notebook. So that particular value you can use in your notebook logic. These dates and all, why I'm saying, because I want to process data for 1202, I will pass widget parameter as this 02. Next I will pass 03. Who is going to reset this? We need to reset in metadata table or somewhere.
Correct.
Maybe you can dynamically say current underscore data, current underscore timestamp function you need to use. Dynamically you need to generate it if you're not storing this process date in your metadata table. Those generation everything you need to give. Widget, it's a dummy. So if you give whatever you give, it will just take it as is. It will not modify anything.
Understood.
Tanaka, you understood?
Yeah. This is a right example. We were in an assumption that widget will dynamically changes the values.
Now I understood. You are like the system generated all those things. When you are saying, I understood. You are thinking it will change. It is just a dummy. It will just take whatever you pass.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this really helps.
Yeah, it is a beautiful example. Thank you.
So Malaya, how this is different than passing a variables to the script? Basically, assume that if I'm running a shell script, I'll put $file name and I'll pass the file name as a parameter to the script. How it is different than this?
Okay, so that's what I mentioned, Resh, previously. You will pass a, let's say, process date. You will pass. Okay.
Correct.
So this is just for example I have given. So the problem with you people is whatever I restricted, so you will stuck there itself. You need to think beyond. See, previously I mentioned, just for understanding, I have given this example. Maybe in real time, process date is this, load type load type I will pass as something like let's say incremental or full load. Okay, full load. Now, as I mentioned earlier, see here I am just passing the file from which path it has to read, but where to load, I don't have this information, right? So for that, I will put all those configuration details, okay, customer table, okay, it's a cust table configuration file, cust dot, so config, this is the cust config file. In this, I will say input path equal to, I'll just say input path, output path equal to, I'll say here. Okay, so any data type conversion is required before you write it into the output. So all this information I will keep it in my configuration file. This configuration file location also I will pass it. Understood? That particular details also I can able to pass it. So when I read, I can able to get all this information. Now you may ask, load type, why can't you include in this? Yes, you can able to include if you want to include. If you want to include all these things, yes, you can able to include all those things in this particular configuration file itself. Okay, that is completely up to the developer how you want to include. But with my experience, what we have done is load type and processor date. So processor date is not a common for common, right? So this we cannot hard code in any config file. So we are passing separately. So maybe load type may change for each table. So that's why these paths may not change. Even if it is changed, we can able to change it in a config file. So what we are doing is we are just loading, we are just maintaining the load type separate column and these paths in a config file. Now let's say tomorrow if somebody will come and they will ask, okay, what is the type of this table? Are you loading as a full or are you loading as incremental? So to understand the load, you need to open each config and you need to finalize. Instead of that, if you have all this particular load information outside in a table, in a metadata one column, in metadata table, if you maintain a one column saying that load type, okay, this is the cust table, load type is full, okay, it's a transaction table, it's a incremental, something like that, it will be easy for you to understand. But still I'm saying load type you can include in this config file. Now understood. But can you put this process date in the config file? Harish, understood?
No.
Harish, clear, right? No.
No, I mean I want to see some real example when you write the code, so I'll understand better. Malay.
Okay, sure. Those things we will see, but see, okay, able to understand example. What else I can use? So just tell me, can we put this processor date in this config file or not? I'm saying, just tell me that, is it, can we put this process date in this particular config file or not?
No, that is dynamically changing, right, daily?
Yeah, so then you can create this process date separately and other details which are, you think, whatever details you think which are specific to this table, with that with those details you create a config file. That config file path you can pass as a one more widget, so you will have a two widgets.
Yeah, so rather I create two widgets. Why can't I create four widgets? One with process date and three as a input path, output path, and data type, and concatenate everything as a single field. So I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to differentiate what is the difference between a shell script passing variables versus what I'm passing here. Basically, that's all I'm trying to understand.
Okay, see, okay, I will tell you. If you pass all these things to a file, again you need to read this particular file. You need to read each and every parameter again separately and assign to a variable. You need to do some extra work if you are maintaining all these things in a file, because you need to read this file and then you need to create some dictionary out of all these key value pairs. So once you create a dictionary, from this you will come to know, okay, this is the input path, okay, assign to particular variable, this is the output path, assign to particular variable. All those extra stuff you need to do. But if you have already widgets which are separate, like for input path you have separate, for output path you have separate, for data type you have separate. So yeah, if you have everything separate, directly you read the widget and assign to the variable. You don't need to read a file, create dictionary, and from the dictionary identify what is the input path in this file, what is the output path in this file. All those things you don't need to do.
Okay.
Fine, you will understand when we do the real examples. So now,
do you ever take a security key or something in widgets?
security. So we are going to read key value pairs from the keyword, right? So when we are reading that, we are going to take the security secrets, dbutils.secrets we will use.
Okay.
Okay, widgets, we are going to talk about widgets. So widgets mainly used to pass the inputs to your notebook. Okay, there are 4 types of widgets. You say text, input a value in a text box, whatever types you pass, whether it's a date or whether it is a string number. So basically you are going to use a text type to pass those values. Okay, 1 second. Okay, fine. So there are 4 types of widgets. As I said, text. Text is basically used for passing all types of values. We don't have int, string, all those things. We have only text type which can able to take all the values. Okay, but we have a drop down. Select a value from list of provided values. So it's a drop down. You are going to select the list of values. Combo box, combination of text and drop down. Okay, select a value from provided list or input one in a text box. So there is the here in combo box means there is a small difference. So when here whatever here in drop down, you no need to provide the default value. Default value is not mandatory. So you are going to give the some drop down list, right? So drop down list, what all the values you want to provide in that drop down list. In that drop down list, okay, you have a drop down list with some 4 values. You are going to give the some default value. So default value must be there in this particular list. So whatever default value you are giving, the default value must be there in this particular list of values which you have provided. Those 4 values you have provided, right? Whatever default value you have given, that default value must be there in this particular 4 values. Combo box means the default value may not be there in this particular list. That is the only difference between these two. Multi-select means multiple values. If you want to select, you are going to use the multi-select. But I never seen people who are using drop-down, combo box, and multi-select. Mostly we will use 99%. We will use text only. Okay, whatever examples I have seen, whatever code I have seen from different projects from different people. So everybody is using text because these things we never use because we don't know. So what is the drop down? So if we know those options, why we need to use these widgets? We can just put some condition in the notebook itself in the logic. So based on that, we can able to select. Okay, so but mostly we will use the text. We will see, but I will show you examples how you can use if you have any requirement to use those things. Next, how to create widgets to pass the dynamic values to Python notebook. You see dbutils.widgets.text. So source path. So if you want to give the default path, you can able to give here. If you don't have default path, you just leave it as it is. dbutils.widgets.dropdown. Okay, so this is the drop down. You see this is the parameter value. Okay, this is the default value. These are the options. It's a drop down, right? These are options: payments, sales, orders, transactions. Next, combo box. Okay, you see here payment is available in this list. Okay, if this payment default value is not there in this list, you will get a error. But you see in combo box we have a booking. This booking is not available in this list, but you won't get any error because default value may not be there in this particular list, but payment must be there in this particular list. Okay, if you are using drop. Next, multi-select. Multi-select means this is the columns. Okay, this is just a parameter name. This is the default value. So here this is a basically list. Okay, so here default value may or may not be there in this particular list, but it's basically for multi-select. Okay? Multiple options you can select if you use multi-select. Okay, exactly same you will do in the scale also. Now you see how to read dynamic parameter values in Python notebook. So first thing is dbutils.widgets.get source path. So you have assigned some path to the widget. That path, if you want to read dbutils.widgets.get source path. This source path I will assign to a variable called source location. Okay, source file location or whatever variable name you want to give, you can give. This is the latest syntax that you need to use. But previously we have something called dbutils.widgets.get argument. Get argument you can use. This get argument, if you are trying to use now, it will say it is deprecated. That warning message you will get. So try to start using get instead of get argument. Okay, it's in recent versions, but this is in a previous versions, but there won't be any difference. Okay, next get argument is a source path here. So source path here also you are giving the source path. Okay, next, how to remove widget from Python notebook. See, if you want to remove widget, so dbutils.widgets.remove widget name. If you want to remove particular widget, widget name you will give. Suppose if you want to remove all the widgets, dbutils.widgets.remove all. So you are trying to remove all the widgets, widgets.remove all. Next. So how to create widgets to pass dynamic values in Scalar notebook. In Scalar notebooks, how to do exactly same. You see, there won't be any difference. You see, all these four are exactly same. But when you are reading these variables, it will change from Python to Scale a little bit. It is not much. And one more thing that you need to understand here, when you are creating the these widgets in Scala, one thing is, if it is a Python, we have a list to pass the multiple values. But in Scala, if you want to pass the values, we have a array. Okay, we have a array. So there we will call it as a list. Here we will call it as a array. So you need to use the array, and you need to say payment, sales, orders, transactions, something. Okay, next.
Okay. Can you go back to the previous slide, please?
Yes.
So Scala requires a variable, right? Variable declaration. It doesn't have variable.
Just wait.
I think
okay.
the size is.
Wait. Please wait, because you are completely confusing. See, there we just set the widgets. Now I am reading the variable. I am just reading the widget. Here you will get the variable. Okay. dbutils.widgets.get. I'm reading the widget. When you read the widget, you will assign to a variable. When you are assigning to a variable, here you will use var or val. Okay, val means immutable. Okay, var means mutable, meaning for same variable. So when I use var, by using same variable, I can, so to same variable I can able to assign some other value. That is possible. Okay, because var means it can change, it can get the new value. Okay. Next you see where source location 1 equal to, see, this is the get argument. Get argument you can use source path. Okay, so when you are saying source path is none, okay, the source path widget is not available. So if you want to pass some default value, you can able to pass the default value, but same option is not available in this get. Next, how to remove widget from Scala notebook. So same dbutils.widget remover, dbutils.widget.remove widget name you need to give. See, there is only one difference. In Python we have a list. In Scala we have a array. In Python variables you'll simply say file path, something like that. But in Scala you need to say that variable is a mutable or immutable. If it is a immutable, you need to say val. Okay, sorry, if it is a mutable, you need to say var. Okay, if it is a immutable, you need to say var. Var means mutable, var means mutable. Okay, so mutable means changeable nature. You can able to assign other values to the same variable. Immutable means not changeable. Okay, you cannot change the value which you have assigned. Okay, next.
Malaya, can you go back to the previous slide on that widget creation piece where you mentioned about that it can be mentioned with null, the other one we cannot mention null. What was that?
Okay. So difference between Scala and
hello.
What I mentioned. See here.
Can you go back to the previous slide once? Yeah, before that.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, just go back once more in the slide. Yeah, exactly. Here you mentioned about that in the first command you cannot pass something as null or blank. In the second one you can. What was that?
Here you have a blank, right? So it's, you can able to pass some default value. Here you cannot pass the default value.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you.
See the difference between Scala and Python. You see where you have here. I'm not saying any where. Okay. So you use get or get argument, but when you are reading the widget value, you are using the variable directly here. But here you need to say whether it's a mutable or immutable. Where means mutable or immutable. Mutable. Note down somewhere. Don't confuse. Where means mutable, meaning changeable. So in Python we will have a list. Okay, 1, 2, 3 square brackets. But in Scala you need to say array 1, 2, 3. Okay, fine. So yeah, these are the slides. We have how much time we left. So yeah, we have less time. I cannot able to finish those things. Yeah, so we'll try to do these things in Databricks community, because wherever you do, both are same. Now if we create Azure Databricks, it will take more time. But whether you are doing in a, so you just try out these things in Databricks community and the Databricks Azure Databricks, both will give the same result. But I want to ask you, all of you, how many of you created the Databricks community? How many of you created the Azure Databricks? At least how many of you know how to create Databricks workspace, how to create cluster, and how to create notebook and work?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Harish knows. Yeah, Rashmi knows. Other people who knows.
Yeah, I have created Databricks community, Malaya.
Fine. What I will
I
do
have
quickly, I
created.
will tell you how to create at least Databricks community edition for you to understand and learn the things, because now Azure Databricks you may or may not be able to create because it is related with subscription, right? So, but the Databricks community is completely free, and try to understand whatever you do in Databricks, Azure Databricks, most of the stuff, 95% of the stuff you can able to do it in a Databricks community, except scheduling jobs and a few more restrictions we have. Okay, but apart from that, when you are creating cluster, auto scaling options, other options are not available, but 95% of options and things are going to be same. So everything will work, whatever will work in a Azure Databricks. Let me quickly show you how to create Databricks community action. Very simple. So if possible, you can able to do it in a 10 minutes. Okay, Databricks community edition, community try. You say Databricks community try. Okay, see here, try Databricks for free. Just to click on that. Okay, if you want this link, let me quickly share this link over chat window. I'm sharing this link over chat window. Fine. Now, yeah, so I think they have changed a lot of things. Now let me quickly give my name and my, okay, so I'll say company, I'll say Cloud Pandit, and company email I'll say Cloud Pandit 236@gmail.com. Okay, so title you can say data engineer. Phone number, it's optional, you no need to give. Keep me informed with occasional updates, all those things you can check. Click get started for free. Okay, this is the first step you need to do. Okay, now you see you have a Databricks platform for free trial. It is just for 14 days. It is just for 14 days full future trial. But I don't want only 14 days. I want a complete unlimited. Okay, so there is no limit in terms of time, 1 year, 2 years. It is completely free, but we have, okay, limited cluster, like limited computers we will get, and job scheduling, all those things we will not be able to do. But I want a community action, right? So just click on get started. Time to check your mail. Let me quickly check my email. Yeah, see, once you open your mail, you will see something like this. Welcome to Databricks Community Edition. And we need to verify your email address by clicking on this link. You will be redirected to Databricks Community Edition. So what you need to do, you need to click on this link. Just click on this link. It will ask you to reset your password because you have not created any password, right? So I need to create the password now. See, it will ask me to put the password. Let me put the password here. Reset the password. Okay, that's all you need to do. For this, you just need a internet and a computer. So you have both, that's why you connected to this meeting, right? So with this requirement, you can able to create the community is already ready now. Okay, community is already available. You see Cloud Pandit 236. So with this mail ID, I have created the community. So we have all the options mostly similar to Azure Databricks except model. Model which is basically for the machine learning, right? So that option is not available, but rest of the options are same. The first thing that we need is we need to have a cluster. Click on clusters. See, it took just 4 minutes for me. Okay, click create cluster. So here you see you don't have all the options that you have in Azure Databricks. You need to give the cluster name. So cluster name is this, and the Databricks runtime, which runtime you want. Okay, let's say 7.4. And here you don't have all other options like auto scaling, cluster mode, pool, all those things. So with this, still that's okay, but you are already aware of those things. So with this, you can just give the cluster name, select the Databricks runtime, and click create cluster. Okay, you don't have a inactive time configuration and all those things. You see here, your cluster will automatically terminate after an idle period of 2 hours, meaning 120 minutes. If the cluster is inactive for 2 hours, it will go into the shutdown. Okay, try to understand that. Next, let's quickly create a notebook. Okay, widgets. Just say widgets. Just to give me 1 minute. Okay, so let's see now. This is the notebook. I want to attach this notebook to the cluster. See, similar to what we learned in Azure Databricks, right? So cluster is already ready. It will create quickly in Databricks community. Okay, cluster is ready. Now let's see. Quickly, I will create the widgets. Widgets dot text. So if you want help, you want to see all the types, you just ask the help. If you don't know something, don't worry. So everything Databricks like notebook will help you. Okay. So we have text, remove all, multi-select, get argument, get, drop down, combo box. So all these things we discussed, isn't it? Now let's quickly create a few like text. Okay, so these are text. Basically, I will say file path. I want to give file path. So this is the default value I want to give. Default value is /cloud_pandit. Okay, so default value, if you're not giving, nothing will happen. Now you see, please try to understand what will happen here. Widget will be created. Now you see, I'm just executing. See, widget created with the default value cloud_pandit. Let's say I want to create one more widget. I want to create one more widget. This time I don't want to pass anything, and I will say load type. Okay, just execute this. See, one more widget created without any data because I have not provided any default value. Okay, now I want to remove this load type. db dot widgets. Yeah, so before we delete it, let's try to create the drop down. Okay, drop down widget. Drop. You can see if you have any confusion, you can see drop down. This is the spelling. So just put it here. Drop down. How drop down will work? So if you want to understand here itself, you can understand name of the parameter, default value, and the choices. Okay. So quickly you can able to give payment mode. Payment modes are available as, you can say online is the default. Okay. So let's say here you can say offline, online, third party. Okay, something like this. Let's create this drop down list. DB utils spelling mistake. Get it? It is created. It's a drop down basically. It's a drop down. Okay. Now you see. I'll just show you the main difference. Payment mode 1 I'm saying, and I'll just say this online. See, this particular default value is available in this list, but this time I will say any. It is throwing error because selection sequence must include any. Any is the default value, meaning default value must be there in this particular list. Okay, but if I select instead of drop down, if I select combo box, okay, this particular error you want to execute combo spelling mistake. Okay, see combo box, you got payment one. So any, you no need to have this default value in this particular list. That is the difference. But with respect to drop down and combo, there is no other difference. Okay, next click on this. Here, what I wanted to do, DB utils start widgets. Yeah, just copy paste this, but I'll say multi-select. Oh, already we have this, right? So let's create a new. See here also what it is saying, multi-select required, this default value in this. So let's add this. Yeah, it's created the payment to, you have this as well. See, multiple selections you are able to do in this multi-select, but here you have only one choice. You have only one choice. Okay. Now let's say I want to read this payment mode. This is the one which I wanted to read. DB utils dot widgets dot get. Which one I want to get? I want to get it this one. So this is the actually we'll have a payments methods. Okay. So yes, payment methods, you got it. These payment methods, let me just print it here. Execute it. So what you are getting, any, offline, online, you are getting everything because I selected all those things. Let's say I just select these two and I will re-execute. See, you are getting only any. You are getting only any. You understood? Now let's say same thing you can use to read your file path. Execute it. So you are getting slash cloud. You understood? If you have multiple values, comma separated, you got all those values. Now you are getting this. Now we can also say, let me try to show you this payment mode I want to rate. Execute it.
Did we go disconnected or something?
Yeah, it looks like Malaya got disconnected.
Yeah, he disconnected, I guess. We lost him.
Oh, okay. Quick question, guys. Everyone getting the notebooks, by the way? Is it shared in a Google Drive or somewhere? Because I am not able to access or anything. Any idea?
I think he
didn't
lost.
network error.
Hello.
Yeah, Malaya.
Malaya.
Hello.
Yeah, we
Can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you.
Hello.
We can hear you, Malaya.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. See payment mode. So yeah, payment value. I just executing. It's a offline. Just select it as the online and let me read it. So you see, it's a basically it will come. Okay, it is coming as a online. Okay, understood. You can use get argument for this, but you see when you use get argument, so same thing, but I think it should give the some warning, but I am not sure why it is not giving the warning. It will give the warning. Okay, it will give the warning, but giving any warning. But this is not recommended to use get argument because this may deprecate at any time. Payment mode to. Okay, see, I just read the any multiple. You are able to read by using get and get argument. Both are same. Okay, there is no difference, but deprecate soon. Okay, this is giving any offline. Okay, now I want to remove maybe let's say payment widget. I want to remove. How to remove? Details.xs. Widgets dot remove. I want to remove which widget you want to remove. Let's say payment 2 I want to remove. Now you see when I execute it will go. This will vanish, you see now. Yes, so that right. So now irrespective of all these things, I want to remove all the widgets. I want to remove all widgets. Okay, how to remove all the widgets? Remove all. Execute. Oh, sorry. For no need to specify any widget, right? Just say remove all. It will remove all the widgets. All boxes will vanish now. See, everything is gone. Okay, I hope everybody understood, right?
Yeah.
Understood, friends? Everybody understood this?
Yeah, Malaya.
Yeah. So this is only specific to notebooks.
Okay.
Can we create a widget for globally, and that can be shared across all the notebooks?
No. But you need to call. You need to create a widgets in one notebook from another notebook widget. Sorry, if you call this notebook, all the widgets which are created widgets will be available in your notebook. Okay. You have a notebook 1, notebook 2, notebook widgets. Now, if you want to make sure all these widgets available in notebook 2, from notebook 2, you need to call the book 1.
Okay.
Clear? Any doubts, friends? See, what I'm doing now, I'm just taking the clone of it. I'll say, so whoever needs Scala, please stay back. Scala, just export it. What I will do quickly, so I'll just change the default language.
Your net connection is little slow, so I don't know. Maybe is it for me only or not? Things are getting stuck at times.
Yeah, this is because network. So let me just switch to the good network now. Is it fine now?
Yeah, I think okay.
Yeah, it should be fine because previously this network is not coming, so I just switch it to another. So that is very simple. Yeah, this time it should work. Now you see, this is by default we have implemented everything in a Python, right? So I want to make all these cells as Scala. What you need to do for that? Just if you want to make all these Python cells to Scala, if you want to convert, you need to say Scala. So required changes we need to make. Okay. So I just converted. Click select. This is network issue. Connecting. Let's refresh once quickly. Okay, see it changed to Scala. Okay, it is saying percentile Python, then it will go as a Python only. Let's do one thing. Let it be in Python. Okay, that's fine. Let it be in Scala only. Okay, we will do one thing. So these are in Scala, right? So I'll do one thing. So I'll just remove this percentile Python and I will execute it. Okay, now this is a Scala notebook, right? Just execute it. See, this is a Scala notebook. Okay, I am just executing details.widgets.help. You see what will happen. Okay, this is a help it is giving this. I'll just remove this Python command. It's a Scala. I'll just execute this. So it will create the box. You see, it is created the box. So I'll just create this another box as well, like another widget I will create. I'll just remove it. So all these things will work exactly same in Scala as well. Here we know, right? So instead of list, what we need to do? Remember, very good. Here we need to use execute it. Sorry. Need to put execute this. See, it is done. We are done. Okay, it is created even payments. Next here also, what you need to do? You need to say execute. Oh shit, it's Python. Let me remove this. Create it. See now payment one will create, but it is throwing error. We know, right? So drop down must have this default value in this sequence. So that's why I'm going to the combo box. Okay, combo box. This default value you no need to have in this particular area list. Let me just change it to area. Execute it. So combo box payment one is created. Okay. Next to multi-select. Multi-select also exactly same, right? So you just have to do here array. Execute it. Okay, see multi-select payment two also created. Now I want to read. So when you want to read, so you know, right? Here you need to say where or val. So where I'm using. So without where you try to read, it will throw error. See, it is throwing error. Okay, not found value payment methods because you need to say where or where. Execute this. See what it is saying, any. The value any is assigned to the payment two. Okay, now let's say I'll assign to all these values, I will assign and I will execute it once again. So it is giving any, offline, online. Next. So dbutils.widgets.get. So payment mode. So here it's Python. I need to change it to the val. Let's change it to the val. Val is a immutable. See, it is also will give, but if you try to assign any other value to the same variable, it will throw error. Okay. Next, this is also Python, but here you need to say var or val. That's all. Just execute it. It is giving /cloud. Here also exactly same. Execute it. Get argument. Yeah. So here in Scala for get argument, as I mentioned, you need to give the default value. See, what is this? Warning. This is not a error. This is a warning. This is what I was trying to tell you. So in Python, we are not getting this warning, but in Scala, you are getting this warning. Okay, you see warning method get argument in try widget utils is deprecated. use dbutils.widgets.text or dbutils.widgets.dropdown, or to create a widget dbutils.get to create its bound value. Meaning for reading use this, for creating use these things, it is saying. Okay, text and drop down for creating, for reading use get instead of using get argument, it is saying. Okay, fine. Now I want to remove widgets, so remove exactly same command you can use. cpayment 2 I'm removing, it removed. So I'm just removing all other widgets, will just remove. So everything will remove. Okay, yeah, any questions? If no questions, that's all for today. Thank you.
Can you share the